What's going on? What's happening? This is Introvert Boricua with a sudden impromptu stream. Let me make sure that I can share it. Let's see. It's gonna be a little improvised. This won't take long. Let's see if I can get somebody else. All right. This live stream is not gonna last long. It's only gonna take a couple of minutes because there is something that I wanted to address. And it is basically this whole notion when it comes to certain people that wanna arguments for not a real reason. They wanna start stuff. Again, this won't take long. Maybe I don't get anybody to watch, but that's okay. You can catch it on the playback. So, what I mean is that I'm gonna be sharing the screen. Okay. All right. This all started when a couple of days back, actually about a week ago, there was this stream that Radical put up when it came about the fight that Amber Rose and Jocelyn Hernandez had. Now, what I'm talking about, it has nothing to do with that. It has nothing to do with Jocelyn and Amber. Don't matter. I'm gonna make sure, just in case I have somebody else. Hey, Ari. I'm gonna try and check on the comment section because I wanna get through this part. I won't take long. But what's up? What's up, Ari? All right. A few days back, when there was this live stream or this video that Radical put up, as a joke, our friend Truth Teacher put up this comment in which there were he was saying, I remember when I was a little girl, my grandmother telling me, I don't care what reality TV tells you, Amber Rose is black. Now, this was as a joke because in the trailer for the so-called documentary about Cleopatra, there was this older lady that was talking about that apparently her grandmother told her something along those lines, kind of like the same thing, but about Cleopatra. No matter what anybody tells you, what TV tells you, what media tells you, that Cleopatra was black. Okay. Now, I did my own live stream about this, and I know, we came to see from what is documented at least that Cleopatra may have been more of a Greek person because that whole last dynasty, the Ptolemaic dynasty, there were all of those people had Greek names, so they didn't have like Egyptian names. They had Greek names because they were from Greece. They were, or should I say, Macedonians. But again, it's not so much about that. The thing is that after Truth posted that comment, and I know that it was as a joke, and he knew what he was talking about, and I made a comment in which I was saying about Amber Rose that she specifically said that she wasn't black. I should have put it in quotations because I mean the whole thing about black is more of a classification more than an actual race. And 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 Truth said something along those lines. You have to be following the Cleopatra controversy to get the joke. At first, I didn't get it, but as I said, I had already done a live stream talking about the whole controversy about Cleopatra. It's just that I didn't connect it right away. But yeah, it's something that if you see um, the trailer, you can see it. There was that notion they were trying to say that she was black in quotations. I use the term loosely because that's more of a classification that is used here. So, she was saying to Morena, I'll be dropping my Netflix docudrama Amber, and it's gonna start an all Nigerian cast. Okay, and you can read the rest of it. Yeah, and I made the clarification. Yes, I remember because of the Cleopatra trailer. What it was being said about that. And yeah, and it kept going on the thread about it. It was kind of like a joke. And Proverbs here 3:5 was saying about that she was a blood, she was Greek. And apparently, I don't know if the person got the joke, but yeah. And this is somebody who's known for being a little bit of a contrarian. It's perfectly fine having a difference of opinion. Um, but the thing is that there is this certain somebody, Muniz Lemaine. Now, this is somebody who got on the thread and started arguing and arguing and arguing, trying to make the whole thing about the Egyptians, ancient Egyptians, tried to make it about race. This whole time, it was post after post after post, trying to argue with Truth about the knowledge when it came to whether it was ancient Egypt or what race were they, and which is something that we have. I guess we can say that we have a pretty good idea of it, but again, it's by now, or at least by the time of the last dynasty, and so many people from so many other parts of the known world at the time were showing up. In Egypt. So if there were dark skin, it was all being bred out. It was all getting mixed up, bred out, and nobody was being one race or the other because the paintings confirmed that. It could have started out. Egypt could have started out as people being dark skinned and all of that, but with the centuries, people from other places were showing up in Egypt, and they didn't have like a border patrol. They didn't have immigration. Everybody could just show up. The place was fairly wide open, and it was vulnerable to invasions too. You know that was happening through the centuries. And the thing is that this Muniz kept arguing and arguing, and the thing is that's why I named the stream "Preaching to the Choir," because nobody was arguing against that. Nobody was saying anything about the ancient Egypt. The stream wasn't even about that. It was about these two bitches fighting. That's what the stream was about. I mean, it's fairly inconsequential. Of course, leave it to the scholars to figure out who looked like what. Okay, I get it. There is an effort by certain so-called scholars to try to trying to explain it away as to the race of them, but that's more of a thing that is happening right now with the modern Egyptians, because the modern Egyptians are more Middle Eastern. They're more Middle Eastern, they're more Arabs, and definitely they are the ones that you can't you can't say anything about them being dark skin or that, because they feel like you are taking something from them, and which is debatable, debatable because he wasn't always Arab. That's something that only happened in the last few centuries. But the invasions on Europe were happening. Those were a thing, and this Muniz tried to start an argument with me. The thing is, I don't argue about race. I don't get into arguments over race. But kept posting all of these comments, and eventually, I did say like, look, I'm gonna do a video response because I don't go back and forth on text. I just don't do it. Look at all of these comments, comment after comment, trying to argue, just trying to argue. Because nobody was saying anything about that. Nobody was talking about anything about ancient Egypt on a thread about two chicks that were fighting. What does that have to do with it? You can check out all of these posts. I'm not gonna go through all of them. But the thing is that person was trying to argue with truth. Truth was an educator. He does have some knowledge about that. He's somebody who has traveled to Egypt itself and has a fair amount of knowledge about it. The thing is that they were trying to argue with truth and calling him. Yeah, he was calling him a dumbass, but that was because this person just wouldn't let up. He was a black African. Ugh. All of those posts, still trying to say the same thing about skin tone. Nobody was arguing about none of that. Now there was something that I found interesting that Truth said here about why he doesn't call anybody black, because calling people black, calling people by their skin tone wasn't really a thing in the African continent. It's kind of like what is being said over here. The thing is that this Muniz tried to come at me with shit. Let me see. Tried to come at me with this whole thing about skin tone. Trying to come at me with this whole notion about trying to argue with me about something that I didn't say. Trying to bring to me the so-called smoke. Smoke about what, dude? Nobody was talking about that even. Why are you trying to pick arguments with us? You come to an Hispanic thread, an Hispanic channel, a Latin channel, to argue about ancient Egypt. We weren't talking about that. I got my doubt. I got my doubts as to whether this person was African, because he was trying. I don't know if it's a he or a she. But eventually, when I responded, I said, look, I didn't say anything about Egypt and whether it was a black civilization or not. You need to take that to the modern Egyptians that say that ancient ones were never black. And I said that back then. 2 days ago, I'm saying it now. If the whole thing about race, about the Egyptian, is really that important, Muniz, I'm sure you should be listening by now, because I did tell you that I was gonna make this video. Look, You need to bring that to the Arabs that run the country now. Your fight is with them, not with us. But this is because this is really inconsequential. So one thing, one way or the other, that's fine. That's fine. We're not concerned with that. So now I have gave 4 videos to watch of two modern black Egyptians. Saying the ancient Egyptians were black and two modern Arab Egyptians saying the ancient Egyptians were black. Okay, what's your excuse now? Okay, excuse about what? I wasn't arguing about anything. I wasn't arguing about that. If you can actually prove with documentation, then that's fine. But the thing is that all this arguing that you're trying to do, take that to the Arabs. Take that to the Arabs that run Egypt right now. They are the ones that are saying that Egypt is not a part of the African continent and that the Egyptians were never black. They were never dark skinned or anything. That's what they are saying. That's not what I'm saying. That's what they are saying. Take that argument with them. And I asked him if he was on FBA and he was using Egypt as an excuse to come at us and try to argue with us. Because the FBAs are the only ones that are like black Americans and try to come at us, trying to argue with us over bullshit. The very vocal ones, the ones that don't have like a real identity, so they call themselves FBAs and they try to start shit with other groups, including us. We Latinos, we don't really have any power over them. So I did ask, is your dad from Egypt? Now he came at me with entertain me with the mental gymnastics. It's not mental gymnastics. I don't have to do mental gymnastics. And the whole thing about entertain me, I don't have to entertain shit. I did say that I was gonna make this video, but this isn't about your entertainment. This is about me telling you, look, I don't care. I don't care about none of that. All of that shit that you're trying to argue with us about, try to convince us about, we're not concerned with that. Was it kind of like the ancient Egyptians dark skin? Maybe they were. But what happened? They ended up getting bred out. All of that ended up changing with all of the not just with the invasions. It was also the fact that people from other parts of the known world could just show up there. They could just show up. There wasn't kind of like an immigration thing. There wasn't no immigration control. Anybody could just show up there and become part of the population. And when I ask you, is your dad from Egypt? I was waiting for you to say yes. And if you were gonna be telling me yes, then I was gonna tell you, you and your pops should take all this arguing that you wanna bring to us and give it to the Arabs, the Arabs that actually run the country, control the country, and they're telling you specifically any association with being black is trying to impose Afrocentrism. That's what they're saying. That's what they're saying. The modern Egyptians, which have a tendency to be Arab, they're the ones that are arguing. That are really arguing against whether they were dark skinned or not. Even the ancient ones, according to them, I mean, even the ancient Egyptians, they all looked like Arabs for all thousands of years of the dynastic periods. That the ancient Middle Kingdom and the later ones, the later dynasties. There were changes over time. The thing is that if you have so much time, you have so much energy to argue uh, about the race of the ancient Egyptians or whatever. Look, get that energy, use that energy, and argue with the Arabs. Argue with the Arabs that are telling you, no, the ancient Egyptians look like us today. Because that's what they're saying. That's what they're saying. That they always looked Arab throughout the whole entire history. Us over here, us, because many of us are Caribbean and Hispanics, we don't care about none of that. We don't have an obsession with race. So, like, for real, stop. Stop it. It's not that serious. One last time, if it's really that important to you, the whole thing about race, go on, argue with the Arabs that control the country, that are telling you that Egypt has nothing to do with Africa, because that's what they're saying. That's what they're saying. They're saying both. Egypt is not part of Africa. It's never been part of Africa. And the Egyptians were never black. That's what they're saying. Whether they were black or not, to us, people like me, people like us, over here, that's inconsequential. Remember, there were one thing, maybe there were the other. We're not concerned with that. Is that clear? Did that get through you? Did that get through your head? Because that whole shit about you posting and posting, trying to argue, that's annoying. We don't care, man. We're not concerned with that. And the stream was not even about that. It wasn't even about that to begin with. So basically, that's all there is to it. That's all I wanted to say about that. It's good to look up information. It's good to try to know things and look up information and things like that about things that interest you. That's great. But if you want to, once again, Muniz Lemaine, you want to argue about the identity of the ancient Egyptians, take that up with the scholars that are telling you that they were never black. Those are the people that you need to talk to. Those are the people that you need to argue with. They're usually the modern Egyptians that are Arab, and they say that they could have never been dark skin or anything like that. Take that up with them, because I've seen the videos on YouTube that they say that they couldn't have been because the ancient Egyptians they decorated themselves with gold, while the Africans were wearing animal teeth as jewelry and so on. That's their argument. Over here, somebody like me, I'm not concerned with that. I'm not concerned with that. That's important to you. Talk to them. Talk to the Arabs. The ones that tell you that there is no such thing as a black Egypt. Take it with them. There. I gave you some. I made the video. Got you some attention. And that's it. This is Introvert Boricua signing off. And until the next one, have a good one. Peace.